Now that's lemon pepper perfection.
Zaxby's lemon.
We have yet another horrific massacre against Christians in Nigeria to report on. 27 people, including a 3-year-old girl, have been killed in the most barbaric of ways. Masara Kim, a reporter for Truth Nigeria, joins us now. Masara, what can you tell us about this absolutely barbaric atrocity?
Yeah, so on the all in the early hours of yesterday, that's July the 14th, a group of terrorists shouting Allahu Akbar on a long convoy of motorcycles, estimated by locals to be between 30 to 40, swarmed um, the peaceful town of Bindi, located about 35 miles southwest of Jos, the capital of Plateau State, killing at least at the moment 27 people that have been identified, majority of whom were burned alive in their homes, including a 3-month-old baby and a 3-year-old baby. In my report for Truth Nigeria, I mentioned the 3-year-old victim without realizing that as I left, the body of a 3-month-old baby was also identified, and the search has continued with many more members of the community, many more residents still unaccounted for at the moment.
Burned alive. What do you mean? They were trapped in their house? I mean, what exactly? Oh, I don't even. Oh. As a father, this is disgusting. But what can you tell us about that detail? Burned alive. What do you mean?
Yeah, so these terrorists swarmed communities, broke into homes, and literally poured gas. They poured fuel on the sleeping residents and set the houses on fire. I mean, a local pastor who spoke to us, I shared his photo with you, said he was hiding in a gold room just within his compound of 2 brick buildings when they broke into his flats where 9 members of his family were sleeping, and he could literally hear them screaming and shouting for help. But absolutely no one could come to their help because the terrorists, more than 30 of them, had swarmed the compound. Some of them had gone into the rooms where these innocent residents were sleeping, and they had literally poured fuel on them and set the house on fire. So he could literally hear them screaming on top of their voices and shouting for help, but definitely no one came to their help until they could no longer scream, they could no longer breathe. And in fact, when I got to that compound earlier at sunrise yesterday, the bodies of these victims were still smoking. You know, the houses were still burning and their bodies were still smoking. And many of the videos that I've shared with you might not be good for the screen, but I mean, it's important to understand the horrifying nature of these attacks, which, by the way, follow a pattern of violence by these terrorists who have killed more than 1,000 people in the last 10 months. Just in Plateau State alone. Genocide deniers again would like to say that no, this is just another instance of sedentary farmers clashing with semi-nomadic herders who happen to be members of the Fulani ethnicity. But no, this attack happened and started from 3 a.m. and lasted up to 5 a.m. Nobody was in their farm. Nobody was clashing with anybody. Nobody was. In fact, these innocent babies and women and children that were hacked down and burned alive on their beds. They were nowhere at a place where that qualifies as a battleground or battlefield that one can say, oh yes, this was a clash. And even if there is anything like a clash going on, what clash happens at that time of the night? And in fact, it was these terrorists who came to the residence of these Christians one, and then they hacked down and burnt several people, including innocent babies, who, by the way, don't even have
Hmm.
any understanding of any situation whatsoever. Neither do they have any strength and even the charisma, the strength to carry any weapon and go into battle. So, of course, this is just pure genocide targeting chiefly and exclusively Christians, whether you are a genuine Christian or not. As long as you identify as a Christian, you are slaughtered. And this pastor that I mentioned, by the way, said he heard them celebrate, shouting Allahu Akbar, saying to themselves in the Hausa dialect, "We have conquered the infidels. We have conquered the infidels,"
Hmm.
as they broke down the door of the church, which faces the compound, and smashed musical instruments, smashed Bibles, smashed the pulpit, smashed chairs, and everything else that they could find, while celebrating their victory against who? Against the Christians. They went through and passed several Fulani and Muslim communities and did nothing to them. But when they got to this Christian community, they massacred people and retreated unchallenged into the surrounding mountains. And as I speak with you, residents still tell us that they could still see signs of these terrorists lurking around, possibly planning another attack.
Masara, I so admire your passion for this subject, and I hope we're doing a good job of telling this story. Unfortunately, we've told this story so many times. This keeps happening. And that's the really frustrating part is, this isn't a war where a bomb gets dropped and, there's civilian casualties. This is systematic extermination. And I mean, using machetes to hack people to death, set people on fire using gasoline. This is ethnic cleansing. This is genocide at the most. This is the definition of that. And I know I'm getting frustrated. You're frustrated. I'm sure people watching this are frustrated. There's just crickets in the world. I mean, maybe someone will say something every once in a while, but it's for the most part, this story gets ignored. Again, I pray that we don't have to do another story like this, but I'm sure we will. But Masara, in closing, again, you've done this a time and time and time again. I can feel your frustration. I share it, my brother.
Absolutely.
What do you want the West to do? What do you want the United States to do?
The same energy that has been applied on the Iran-Israel war, the same energy that is being applied on the Ukraine-Russian war, should be applied on the Islamic jihadis terrorist attacks on Christians in Nigeria. The plan is to annihilate the Christian populations and take over Africa's most populous country, starting with the largest Christian states of Plateau and Benue, and of course expanding to other parts of the Middle Belt and the entire country, with the aim of capturing the entire African continent as the beginning, or at least the part of a first step toward conquering the entire world. So the West, President Trump needs to step up to this. 5 years ago, he made a bold statement by asking the former president of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, "Why are you killing Christians in Nigeria?" And that helped a lot to reduce some of the atrocities and the violations even by the Nigerian authorities. And of course, as he went further to impose a CPC level. But after President Trump, Joe Biden came and lifted that sanction, and the atrocities have continued to mount and escalate. President Trump needs to do something as a lover of humanity, as a lover of religious freedom, as a lover of human rights, as a lover of Christians, to make sure that these attacks are stopped. And beyond that, Christians all over the world need to pray and rise up in solidarity with Christians in Nigeria and support in any way that they can. You can as well support through any non-profit of your choice. At the moment, I don't know any better profit than Equipping the Persecuted, which is doing, which has boots on the ground and is helping, thousands of Christians. But again, you can choose any platform to reach out through. You can pray, you can send, use clothing, use items, household items that you want, you have no need of, and you can pray, and you can also raise a voice to mount pressure on the Nigerian authorities to stop these atrocities.
Masar Kim, thank you for your time, my friend.
Thank you for always standing with us and giving me a voice.